Hello everyone, it's Matthew here from Matthew's Tech Hub and welcome back to another video. So first of all guys, before we do get started, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has recently subscribed to the channel. It's really much appreciated. It shows that my videos are helping you guys, and obviously I really do appreciate support. So thank you very much to everyone who has subscribed to the channel recently. And also a big shout out to everyone as well who has recently been using my other video, which is the Microsoft account creation process, where you can actually skip the whole thing. It's good to see that video was actually very helpful to a lot of you, and it has, at the time of this recording, just hit over 10,000 views. So thank you very much to everyone again for the support on that video as well. And again, if you haven't seen that video, or if you do need some help on that, I'll put a link in the description of this video where you can also go check that video out as well. So guys, as promised, in today's video, I'm going to be releasing a video on how we can actually migrate email into the Microsoft 365 platform. Now, there is various different methods that you can actually do and use to get email from an existing or another third-party email host into Microsoft 365. But in today's video, I'm only going to be covering on how we can do it using the IMAP method, which can be found in Exchange Online. So obviously what you'll need to do, guys, is before obviously we get started, this is obviously not going to be a video on how you can set up a Microsoft 365 tenant, but I have already got a video on that. So again, I'll put a link either on screen or in the description below. So please go check that video out if you haven't already, if you are new to Microsoft 365. But if not, and you're looking to now get email into the platform, this is going to be the video that you want to follow. So what you're going to do, guys, is you're just going to sign into your Microsoft 365 platform. So once you are signed in, obviously it'll bring you to this home screen right here. We're then just going to scroll down on the left-hand side, and once you scroll down, you'll see that there's a section here called Exchange. So let's go jump into this part here. Now, once we're in here, this will obviously just show you all your Exchange mailboxes. But what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to jump into the Migration tab just on the left-hand side. Also, just before you do proceed anymore here as well, please also make sure that your email account is also set up. So you do need a mailbox that is also has been live. If you have just created a mailbox and you're already looking to migrate email, you may need to give it a bit of time because it might not be working, because Microsoft does take a bit of time to process a new mailbox that has been created. So that is one thing just to keep note of as well. So, but anyway, as you get to this section, you're just going to click on the Add Migration Batch just up here. And it's going to ask us for a unique batch name. Now, what a unique batch name is, it just basically makes it easier for you as an admin to know who you are migrating or what users you're migrating. So for example, if you are working for a big corporate company and you're migrating, say, a big team of accounts, well, members of accounts, or if you're migrating an IT support team or a sales team, obviously you would put, if you want to create a specific migration just for some specific users, just for yourself to know as an admin who you are migrating, this should obviously be the name you want to put. So just for today's demo, guys, I'm just simply just going to put Matthew, because I'm only going to be migrating one account, which I've set up just for a demo of today. So the next option is it's going to ask you if you're going to want to migrate to Exchange Online or if you're going to migrate away from Exchange Online. But obviously we're going to be going into the platform today. So we're going to be doing migration to Exchange Online. And I'm just going to simply hit on next, just down here in the bottom. Now it's going to ask you for the migration type. So as I said, there is many different migration types here, as you can see. I'm not going to be covering on what they actually do in today's video, but I would suggest if you do want to have a look at those guys, obviously have a look online. There's plenty of documentation about them. Or if not, if you want me to create a video on this as well, let me know, and obviously I can create a video if it obviously does get requested. But today's video, we're just going to be purely focusing on this one here, which says IMAP Migration. Now, the next stage is it's going to give you some more information about what it is and obviously what it does. Now, if you do want to have a read through it, guys, you can do that. You can also just click on the little options just down here to obviously go to the documentation pages. But if you just want to carry on, again, just click on next at the bottom. So now it's going to ask you for a migration endpoint. Now, what a migration endpoint is basically where you are going to be migrating your emails from. So this will make it, well, you can actually save the migration endpoints in 365. So if you do any more migrations in future, you haven't really got to set up or add the IMAP details back in every time of the server or of the port, for example, as well. But if you're just doing this as a one-time job, again, you can delete the migration endpoint afterwards if you want to. So we're just going to click on Create New Migration Endpoint. So once we're back at this point here now, it's now going to ask us for the migration endpoint name. Now, this is where you would specifically specify where you are migrating from. So if you were migrating, for example, from GoDaddy or FastHosts or whatever company name that is you're migrating from, if you want to use that as a personal reference, you can do it. It will just make things easier for you to recognize who you're migrating from. That's personally what I do. So again, for today's video, I've just set up an email account temporarily for just to demonstrate this purpose. And the company I'm going to be migrating from is a web server, well, a web host, which I'm using at the moment with a company called Eco Web Hosting. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to call it Eco Web Hosting. And then it's going to ask you for the maximum concurrent migrations. Now, this is, again, the maximum amount of data that can get migrated at one time. I normally just leave this as default, leave it as 20. And then obviously there is an option below as well for the incremental syncs. Again, I normally just leave that as 10. If it does ever throw up any errors, or if you guys do have any problems with this, I would probably suggest adjusting it, maybe making it lower. But with most migrations that I've done over the past few years, I've never had any issues with this, and they all seem to go through fairly quickly. So I would purely just leave these default as they are for now. The next section is, guys, it's going to ask you now for the IMAP server. So this is now where you need to find out what your IMAP server details are. You can usually find out by going to, well, you can either contact the technical support of the company that you are migrating from if you're not very technical, or if you just go onto Google and just simply Google IMAP details and then the host name that you're moving from, that would be obviously the way which you can do that as well. So what I'm going to suggest is, well, for today, as I said, I'm going to be migrating from Eco Web Hosting. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to pop in here the Eco Web Hosting server details. So their IMAP name is actually this one here. So it's going to be imap.stackmail.com. And then it's going to ask us for the authentication. Again, that's just going to be basic. The encryption is going to be an SSL. And then there's obviously going to be port 993 for the SSL. If there is any other sort of authentication methods that your provider uses, or for example, if they need you to also use accept untrust certificates or skip verification, you can also do that as well. But my host doesn't require this, so I'm just going to leave that all unticked. So once you click next, guys, it's now just going to save the endpoint. So again, if you are planning on doing multiple migrations from one company, maybe for different users or different people that work in specific areas of a company, you haven't got to keep putting these details in every time you do a migration, because now you have saved that migration batch. It will now obviously save the details as well. So once we go to next, this is now where it's going to ask us for the add the user mailboxes. So what we're going to do, you actually need to download the CSV file that is provided by Microsoft. If you're not sure on how to use it, again, there's some documentation here on the top right, but you can also download a CSV with some sample information. So I'm just going to download this one here, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So as we can see, so this is the CSV file that we've just downloaded. Now, on the left-hand side in the top left, it gives you an email address and then the username and then obviously a password. So this is obviously migration, obviously where it's going to and where it's going from, etc. So what the way to remember it is, guys, so the email address on the top left-hand side, that is the email account that you're going to be migrating to in Microsoft 365. And then the username and password on the right-hand side, that's the details that you need to enter for the provider that you're migrating from. So for example, in today's video, I've set up I'll just grab my details here. So I've set up a temporary email account in this demo tenant. So the email account which I'm going to be migrating to is going to be under this email address here, which is a rather long one. So it's Matthew@M365 and then the rest of it all there. And then the email account which I've set up as a temporary account just to demonstrate this migration method, I've actually called it demo@matthewstechhub.co.uk. So I pop that into here. And then obviously the password, I'm going to put in the password which I've randomly generated right here. See if that's gone incorrectly about the space, which I think it has. Yeah, perfect. So that is it. So obviously if you have multiple users, obviously you'll want to go down this list and complete multiple users and put all of them into here. So all the users that you're going to be migrating, you want to put into this document. So once you've done that, guys, you can then just simply hit on File and then just save that file. And that's it. And that's all done. So now we obviously need to put that CSV into this section here, because we need to now tell Microsoft or tell this migration batch who it is we're migrating to and who it is we're migrating, or where it is we're migrating from and what users it needs to look out for. So obviously we've just done that in that CSV file. So we're just now going to click on Import CSV right here. And now I'm just going to import the one which was here. As you can see, I've done it quite a few times with the other ones for previous clients of mine. So I'm just going to click on next. So now it's actually going to ask you to schedule a migration batch. Now, this is obviously the last section of the migration which we're going to run through. So the first bit here is it's going to ask you what email you want the report to go to once the migration has completed. So unfortunately, it can only be an internal email. So it can only be an email of one of the users that you've got in your 365 tenant. It can't be any emails sort of outside of the tenant. So it can't be, for example, my own personal email, unfortunately, because that is not within this tenant. So I'm just going to leave it as the account. I'm going to get to send an email to the account which I set up as a demo. So it's going to be Matthew's Tech Hub demo. And then the next question here is it says start the migration batch by, so it's going to give you an option to manually start it later, which means we can just click save and then we can manually start it later as it says. Automatically start the batch, that means it's basically as soon as we click save, it's going to start it straight away and start running on that. Or if you want to as well, you can also schedule it to start after a specific day or time. So if you obviously want to maybe plan this ahead, so if you maybe start the migration batch today and you want to start say in a week's time or a month, again, obviously you can do that option as well. You can also specifically specify when you want it to end, but again, I'm not going to worry about this today, so I'm just going to leave it as automatically start the batch. And it's also going to ask us for our time zone, so I would also probably set that as well, guys. That's going to be specifically important if you are also scheduling it as well. So my time zone here in the UK is GMT. Let me just see if I can find that. See here somewhere. There we go, GMT Standard Time. And that's it. I'm just going to click on save. So that's just going to run through it now. It's going to take a couple of moments just to save that. I'm just going to skip ahead in the video, guys. I'll be back once that's all done. Okay, that's all done. So obviously you'll get the message saying batch creation successful. So there we go, that's all sorted. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to click on done just out the bottom. And then as you'll see now, because I've told it to actually automatically start as soon as I've created the batch, it's actually going to say syncing. So it is going to take a bit of time. So what that's basically going to do is it's going to check the mailbox and just basically see how much data is there and what it can migrate and what it can't. So what I would suggest now, guys, is just purely just letting that run. If you are running it or if you're not running it, obviously if you are running it, just let it run, let it sync, let it do its thing, and then just give it some time. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to let this run. I'm going to come back in a moment once that's all done. Okay, so once we come back now, guys, as you can see, it now says synced, perfect, and 100% synced. So I only, in my demo email account from my Eco web hosting account, I only put in a couple of emails just to migrate across. That's why it went through quite quickly. So you can also check on the report of it as well. So if you actually click on the migration batch name, on the right-hand side, it will tell you how many mailboxes are synced, how many have finalized, and also how many have also failed. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on that, guys. So if you do have any mailboxes that maybe fail, it will also give you the error of what's happened there as well. But obviously once it's all gone through, you can also go log into the email accounts if you've got permission to and just check to see if the data's there. But as long as you've done everything correctly, guys, I can assure you all the data will be there. So you've also got the view details here, and that'll also just give you some, again, just some additional information here. So if I click on that, it'll just load up on the right hand side in just a moment. So that's all we can do for today, but hopefully that's helped some of you out there. And if you do have any questions or queries, please do always drop me a message down in the comments section below. I do always read all the comments, guys, and also try to get back to you as much as I can. So again, please obviously do that. And if you could also please leave a like on the videos, it also does really help me out. And also if you could also please subscribe for more content, that'll be fantastic. As always, guys, thank you for watching. I hope it's all helped. See you in the next one. Bye for now.